a scion of many worlds. Authorized of the White Flow was spending her time with her many rejuvenated daughters, granddaughters, great-granddaughters, great-great, and so on granddaughters. She easily has over 24 generations of her own descendants surrounding her, and is listening to whatever it is they have to say to her with a gentle smile on her face. The healing of her family has done the woman a world of good. She's removed the veil from her crown because she no longer weeps for the state of things. At least, she no longer weeps uncontrollably. Of course, his approach does not go unnoticed. It can't any longer. So whatever conversation was being had as he slowly descends from the above dies away to silence. Okay, that's more than enough deference, and always, I apologize for the interruption, but I need to speak with Iserisen. He says respectfully, and the conversations resume this time with him as the topic. And what would this be about? Iserisen asks as she rises up on her tail to match his height. It's about... He begins before he senses something moving fast and almost takes a defensive stance, but then recognizes it. It's about an extra fleet of relief efforts. Once they arrive, Lacron will be open to... He can no longer continue as Magrisa has made full contact with the side of his head with a flying tackle of affection. "Hello, Miss Magrisa. Enjoy your hunting trip?" Iserisen asks in a highly amused tone. "Oh, yes. Lots of fun, especially with some of the old biddies suddenly having all their strength and parts back. Those old crones can really kill." "Have they remembered the deal?" Emmanuel asks. "Oh yeah, they're already on it. Protection for the sleepers in exchange for being the front of the line. Only the person sleeping gets to take off the headbands, and it's enforced by Metak wings," Magrika exclaims. "Excellent. That will bring down any potential mental mishaps down to a minimum. Say that 5 times fast." She challenges him as Iserisen giggles to herself. "Perhaps later, I was about to have a bit of a serious conversation." "Oh? About what?" Magrika asks as she stands up on his shoulder and leans against his antenna to brace herself. More people are coming to Lacron, not just further undaunted reinforcements and family, but bigger donations from beyond. Unfortunately, this will open the door for less well-intentioned people to come in. Thieves, con artists, kidnappers, the corrupt, the cruel, the apathetic and powerful. "And you think I can do something?" Iserisen asks. Her middle left arm rubs her chin as her bottom 2 arms on either side are clasped behind her back, and her upper 2 arms cross. Ah, right, primal. I can almost forget with my family around me. Much of the galaxy sees it as something worthy of great respect. Even if a Primal Nagasha holds no official power, they're still afforded great power from sheer deference and awe alone. I suppose it would be nice for it to mean something other than seeing my children die. She notes, before clearly scanning Emmanuel, "You are primal as well. What will it mean with you?" "I am the first Orthani primal. That is going to gather a frankly obscene amount of attention no matter what happens. With myself acting as a distraction, you can be on the lookout for the sneakier types that would take advantage of Lacron. Between the 2 of us, we should be able to prevent the worst things from happening." "And you need a primal, a person worshipped as a goddess to do that? How bad do you think this will be?" she asks in a more amused tone than anything. "What I need is someone who will have the best interests of this world in mind, with a kind of power the galaxy will respect. They might respect a soldier, they might respect the undaunted, they will respect a primal, they will respect you. Me? I'm sorry to say, but you are going to be a figure of reverent awe once more. Whether you meant to or not, you followed the most sacred creeds of one of the most powerful religions in the galaxy while serving as an absolute exemplar of your species. Even if you weren't a primal, even if you were somehow ageless instead, what you've built on Lacran would have you as a living saint of the Gravid faith. And they're coming first." "Oh no. Being worshipped by my family is one thing. They're my children, and their children in turn. It's respectful and sensible, but others? No, Iserizen says with a sigh. I'm sorry to bear the bad news. Emmanuel apologizes. Honored ancestress, why do you not enjoy being honored? One of the Nagasha asks. Iserizen falters as she looks at her granddaughter, a woman that was fading away in her arms mere days ago. Emmanuel steps up, because she'd rather be known as grandmother or mother instead, Jasper says, kneeling down to the level of the Nagasha. You have to try and understand this from the other direction. If I am putting words in your mouth, madam, please correct me. You have yet to say anything I haven't thought. Iserizen confirms. Please understand this from my view, Alara. I don't see myself so grandly. I have always been myself. To me, it's not that I'm some grand immortal, some untouchable standard. Until now, I've been the only one who hasn't contracted a terrible sickness. One that slaughtered my family over and over again. Every lost daughter, every fated grandchild, was a failure on my part. A failure to protect you all. Had I truly my way, there would never have been a single Nagasha death in the whole of Lacraeon's blood-soaked history. Oh, grandmother, Alara says, before slithering up to the much larger Nagasha, and she's quickly embraced by all 6 arms. I love each and every one of you, and every loss broke my heart all over again, Iserizen says gently. And as her descendants gather around her in an act halfway between family bonding and outright worship, Emmanuel's attention is brought to the Nagasha, waving at him from outside the crowd. She's also directly behind him, so she's either being a little daft or understands just how good Urthani perception is. Yes? He asks her, as he turns around and steps over. He has to choose his steps carefully to avoid spearing some poor woman through the tail. Are you really doing this? Arlene Maincoil demands. The albino Nagasha is furious with him. Doing what? Getting her ready for what's coming next? Giving her time to think things through and letting her know about problems on the way? What have I done that's so objectionable? She's still recovering. I know. Do you think the galaxy cares? What? Arlene demands. Do you think the galaxy cares? More people are coming. This first batch of military aid and an improv-educated uplift is a good thing. The further reinforcements from the Undaunted to help set things up will help too. But after that, it's going to be uncontrolled, uncontained, nigh unfiltered. Tell me, what happens when medicine isn't at sufficient purity? Oh no. To make matters worse, the military's friendly to Lacran, which Lacran itself and the Undaunted do not have sufficient firepower to blockade the system if there's a massive run on it. So a softer power is needed to keep it safe from the unsavory elements of the galaxy. So you're setting up my niece, who's finally been recovered after 1,000 years, as some kind of great protector? Arlene demands. This is her home. Look at her again and tell me she's not going to protect this place. Emmanuel asks as he steps to the side to make sure that Arlene gets a good long look at the congregation surrounding Iserizen. I suppose it is delusional to think that I could simply get her to come home after everything she's been through. Would she even recognize it? From my understanding, she was a very young child when the accident happened. She hatched on the Nest. It was a roving colony vessel going from Wild Space World to Wild Space World. Then it was lost. So she's never even seen the old family home. I wanted to... it would mean so much for another Whiteflow to present herself before the first, the true first. Pardon? Emmanuel asks. No point hiding it from you, but there are 2 first primal Nagasha, the Elder and the Ruler. They represent the 2 paths of a primal, to fade back and be as a font of wisdom or to press forward and guide. Arlene mutters. And this is supposed to be a secret? I suspected before being primal about something like that. I knew when I ascended. The elder likes her privacy, and, as such, her heiress and adoptive daughter tends to be mistaken for the first with even the slightest prompting. Those that know generally just shrug and go with it. Secret societies have started on less, Emmanuel notes. Go to Centris, and they can start by yawning at the wrong time. Is it really that bad? He asks. Yes, she says in a completely unimpressed deadpan tone. I sense a story. I didn't even try out for any of them and ended up in 5. I don't even know what 3 of them did, but I kept stumbling into cult meetings for no goddess-be-damned reason. One I understood was an attempted blackmail campaign to get better sidewalk construction for slithering races, and the other one was trying to keep track of 100 other conspiracies. What kind of place is Centris? Magrica demands in shock. A city planet, like the breakaway empire capital or the Miru capital. Imagine a tent that 3 families are using, okay? Emmanuel asks. Okay. Now compare it to the breakaway empire's capital. Yeah, that's the difference between the breakaway empire's capital and a single level of one of Centris' millions of massive towers. That's a lot of people. Yes, and they're all packed in, so they're going a little crazy. Emmanuel states, and Arlene snorts like a horse. You think Centris is packed in? Oh, you poor sheltered child. She mocks him. I know worse exists, but Centris has more wealth, and the crazy tends to boil over more, Emmanuel states. Now, can you imagine those kinds of people coming here to mess with your niece? Also, I thought she was your cousin. When your family can track itself into the hundreds of thousands, you tend to just default into a few easy titles for everyone's sake. If you're more mature and they're not in your direct ancestry, they're a niece or nephew. Oh, got it. Emmanuel notes before he senses someone on the approach. An Orthani. Oh dear, he's glad they're not so timid anymore, but the deferring awe is a bit. You disrespectful brut. The Orthani calls out as she descends upon him with a stick and starts roundly beating him around the head and shoulders. Magrica flutters back while laughing uproariously as the Orthani woman continues her assault. What the? Never in all my years has anyone so disrespected me as to simply cast aside a name I gave them? Have you no shame? Have you no decorum? A properly pissed off Elder Granzi of Thorax Village hollers at him as she tries and fails to break her hardwood walking stick over his head. Unfortunately for both of them, the floof prevents damage going in either direction, so she's just flailing around. Elder Granzi, I see you're looking rather youthful. Don't you change the subject? I may be barely out of my teens once more, but that doesn't make me any less an elder. And you cast aside the name I helped you discover like it was nothing. Elder, we both knew then and we both know now that the name Jasper Blue was a temporary thing with only the potential to become permanent. I regained my full self and took upon the old name my mother gave me. That does not matter. The name of Jasper was formally given to you. I didn't even get a by your leave when you discarded it. Elder, I apologize for giving offense. I had thought you were more amusing yourself at the time and indulging what you thought to be a foolish and bizarre Orthani so they would leave your village. You think that little of yourself? Wait, no, do not change the subject. Why did you discard the name? I haven't, fully. What? It has become a call sign, a combat name, something often used in the undaunted. Jasper when I am alone, Jasper Blue for a serious conversation, and Blues Brothers when I am being addressed alongside Horace Blue, the man whose memories I had at the time, Emmanuel explains. I see. Also, you have very soft fur. This stick was supposed to break on the first swing, Granzi says as she calms down. I'm not going to apologize for that, he says in a highly amused tone as she flutters down and he gets a good eyeful of her change. So, how have you been handling the extra antenna? It's astounding. So much is clearer now and I can sense much further with them, she says. And How has Thorax Village been handling things? The healers who came to grant youth and strength to the old and ill worked swiftly and claimed to have been sent by you. We could have used a warning that we would all break through our own bodies like a child emerging from her cocoon, or a hatchling from her egg, though, she says in a warning tone. He holds up his claws in an apologetic gesture. I did not know that would happen. I shifted all at once when it happened to me. Emmanuel explains, and Granzi tilts her head to the side before pacing around him. You truly are different now. By eye and antenna, you are shifted into something very different. You have all changes I have seen and more besides. To say nothing of sheer size, you are different. More different than when we last met. I do not think this is the spider's doing. Mother? No, it's my own doing. The spider is your mother? Dr. Morgana Skitterway. Yes. Then why would she make a second you? I do not understand. The body you see now started off as a way to have the parts needed for complicated healing. Then my first life ended abruptly and quickly, and she was left with the extra body, one that had never had her son's memories. So she adopted the copy of her son, after placing the mind of another in it and sending it to a foreign land? No. I regained the memories of that life. I became Emmanuel Skitterway. I remember my death. I have some memory of being dead. And I remember coming back. I also remember from when I woke up in the Grand Midwife's custody, to meeting you and more. I also have the memories of the man whose mind was placed in mine. Horace Blue. Too complicated for my taste. Many silly changes are happening. I can only take them one at a time, Elder Granzi says, as she swings the stick up to rest it hard against her shoulder. It snaps and folds in half, hanging on by a few small bits of fiber. That was supposed to happen against your disrespectful head. I am sorry, Elder. I am too fuzzy. Stop trill laughing and I'll believe you, boy, she replies with an amused tone of her own.